trying to secure playing time for the Little Bears. Kipnis, horrible year last year. So I'm not suggesting right now you go out in a 10-team league and grab Jason Kipnis. But let's say you're in a deep league. He may be worth a gamble. We know he has the potential, when healthy, to do the things that we love in fantasy, power and speed combined, which is something we don't have a lot of. So keep your eye on Kipnis. Ross seems to like him. When a manager likes you, I like to listen to what managers say. If the managers like a player, typically that means the player will do what? He will get an opportunity to play. That's right. So with Ross liking Kipnis and liking what he's done so far, he may have a leg up in Chicago on that second base job. Interesting, huh? So let me throw this at you this morning. I want to name 2 players and think about which one you'd rather have in this shortened season. Let's start at the shortstop position. And I'm going to name 2 shortstops, Trevor Story and Fernando Tatis Jr. Who in 2020 would you rather have on your fantasy team? Trevor Story, Colorado Rocky, power, speed, or Fernando Tatis Jr., San Diego Padre, power and speed. And when I take a look at those 2 players, I tell you, I've had my struggles with Story. He had that one bad year, and it's sort of one of those things that is supplanted in my brain, right? Deep-seated in my brain. And then I look at Tatis, and I think of all the excitement he created last year, but it was only for a short part of the 2020 season. Story is going to play half of his games in Colorado, whereas Tatis is going to play half of his games in the huge ballpark in San Diego. I think it's really close, but if I had to pick between the 2 today, give me Trevor Story. They're going to play similar schedules because they're both in the National League West. I just think Story in the ballpark gives him a little bit of an advantage. And while we're at it, let's throw in Trey Turner to that discussion. Story or Turner? Now, in this case, I'm going to take Turner. And there are a couple of reasons why. First thing, number one, I've been reading that Turner is going to run like a deer this season. Well, stolen bases in a shortened season, I think is a big commodity. Now, if you're also in a league with extra base hits or triples, Story can do that. Trey Turner can do that. Get ahead of myself. Turner will score a lot of runs, and I think Turner will have a better batting average than Trevor Story. Now, I believe Story will hit more home runs, but it all depends on where the Rockies, Nationals, put these guys in their order. And remember last year how the Rockies just tanked at the end of the season? How they start and the mind games of a start on a player may also be a factor. I like Turner. I think Turner, to me, this year is the number 1 shortstop. I would take second Story, third Lindor, and fourth Tatis. Now, I think they're all in the same group. I don't think there's a big difference in 1A and 1D. But for those intangibles, I like Trey Turner this year. Now, we all know injury can play a part. And Turner's had a history. Tatis had an injury last year. Typically, Lindor and Story do not have injury issues. But just from a talent, ball club, schedule perspective, those are my top 4. Who is a dark horse shortstop this year? I'll give you a name. And I bet he hasn't been drafted in many leagues. How about Freddie Galvis for Cincinnati? Yeah, Freddie Galvis for Cincinnati. Why? First of all, the ballpark factor is a big plus for Freddie Galvis. And I think the Reds will score a lot of runs this year. I really do. Second, I looked at their schedule, and I think I'm right if I counted right, 1/3 of the Reds' games are against Detroit, Kansas City, and Pittsburgh. 20 of their 60 games against those three teams. So when you add the schedule factor, the opposing pitching, the ballpark, Freddie Galvis, guys, could be in for a monster year at shortstop and at a tremendous value. Isn't it what it's all about? It's called when you get a player. Where do you draft the player? What value are they bringing to your team in fantasy? And I really think Freddie Galvis could be a fantasy darling in 2020. He doesn't get talked about a lot. His ADP is below 200. And when you compare him to the other four at the end of the year, relative to the average draft position, I think you could be surprised. Now, I don't think Galvis is going to steal a lot of bases, but I think he's going to hit. I think he can drive in some runs. I think he can have some power. And I think his average will be better than advertised. Keep your eye on it, Freddie Galvis. You might want to stash him away late in the draft. And when he starts off hot, you can say, hey, Arnie, thank you so much for the heads up on Freddie Galvis, right? That's what fantasy's all about. Where can we find that hidden value? I want to turn for a moment now to power hitters. Yordan Alvarez has yet to play in a game for Houston this spring. Aaron Judge out 2 days in a row now with a sore neck. And we know necks and backs are pretty well connected. How many of you guys are concerned about the power hitters, Giancarlo Stanton, having enough time to get in camp with COVID and other factors, get in shape, get their swings in, and be effective? Now, we don't doubt the sheer greatness, talent level of Yordan Alvarez or Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton. We do, however, get concerned when guys don't show up for camp. Like, what's Tyler Glasnow going to give us from a pitching perspective, who has not pitched any in camp yet this year? Really concerning, right? There are others we could add to that list. But I'm thinking they've got to get in camp this week. They've got to get those swings in, get that timing down, because with power hitters, it is so about timing. Glasnow concerns me from a pitching perspective because, of course, last year he was out injured for all of the second half. Now, the first month of the year, he was the greatest pitcher in baseball. No doubt about it. Look at those numbers. An ERA below 2, K/9 way above 10. He wasn't walking anyone. He was dominant on the mound. But now he's not pitching in spring. You know, a lot of these pitchers I was talking about earlier, the stars, are up throwing 80 pitches a game and have a goal of going 100 by opening day. That's because they have had in shortened camp 3 starts, a lot of them already. Going to have one more before we break. And that's something that Glasnow has not had. Now, I don't know what he's doing not in camp. He could be throwing, but I do know not being in camp for the Glasnows and for the power hitters that we just talked about is a real concern for me. And what does that do if you have yet to draft? I mean, you're looking at your draft. Where do you go with Yordan Alvarez? Where are you drafting Aaron Judge now? Where are you drafting Tyler Glasnow now? Just curious. We'll keep our eye on it, right? Hey, guys, it's been great being with you this morning. I'll be back again tomorrow. So let's keep our eye on the news channels. Let's see who's opting out. You know, Buster Posey not coming back. No real surprise there. He and his wife adopting twins. They're little. They've been in the Nook unit. And I'm not surprised at all with Posey. Have we seen the last of Buster Posey is my question. You know, he's had these down years lately. Interesting to see what Posey does career-wise. He's not the player that he was. Not a lot of news about it because of the decline in talent. Can you imagine if Mike Trout had said he was opting out. I think there'll be a little more buzz, don't you, on this Monday morning. Guys, have a great day. I'll be talking to you tomorrow right here on Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. Have a good one, everybody.